What's going on, everybody? This is Living in Arizona Now, and today we are going to answer one of the most popular questions that we keep getting on this channel as we hike through the McDowell Mountains in Scottsdale. That's the area you're looking at here because I know some people are going to want to know where that beautiful desert is. That is the McDowell Mountains in Scottsdale. Anyway, as we go on this journey, we're going to talk about this subject because this is one of the most commonly asked questions. They say, dear transplants, people who moved here recently, do you regret living in Arizona? Do you regret making that decision to move here? And you know, you've got people who did it in the last 2 years, and then you've got people who've been here for 10 to 15 to 20 years. So what do they have to say? That's what we're going to talk about. You guys can also drop comments sharing your opinion on this subject as we go, and I will read them off. So if you have something to say about this, now's the time to have live interaction. But also after the video is published, you can also read the comments below because people will be sharing their information. So some of the most commonly noticed comments that came up for negativity, because I'm going to talk about some of the positives too, was the desert, the heat, and we're going to talk about these more in detail. Also, some of the schools, they're not a big fan of the schools, those of you who have kids. Also, they're not happy with the cost of living. But some of the positives, the great weather, but someone would say it's only 7 months out of the year. And so we're going to talk about all these different things. I also did a poll on this channel here recently, and I'll show that right now. You can see right here, I said, do you enjoy living in Arizona or regret living in Arizona? This was posted 16 minutes ago, already got 103 votes. You can see most of the people, they still love living here. But second place is people who are still not sure. They're undecided. If I update this, we went from 103 votes to 127. Looks like love living in Arizona is gaining traction. Only 14% actually regret it. So you can see it's still a very popular place for people who have moved here and are living here right now. Thanks to the 10 people who hit the likes. I also pinned a link to my travel channel, Island Hopper TV, at the very top. For those of you who are not already subscribed over there, I just did a full review of the French Riviera, and I also shared a video, travel tips and advice for 2022, where I talked about some of the things that I do when I'm traveling. But anyway, back to Arizona. So we're going to take a look at this more in detail here as we get going. But also, if you're new to living in Arizona now, you could subscribe to this channel and watch all our videos. You can see we got a lot on the homepage for you to comb through. This is basically a one-stop shop. You're going to get everything you need to know about Arizona right here on this homepage. If you just dig around, might take a month to go through most of the videos, but if you do it, you'll probably feel enriched for doing it about Arizona. So thank you to everyone who just hit the likes. We just doubled in likes. But some of the people who've already commented here, they said, no regrets living here. It just doesn't serve my goals anymore. Change brings promise. Okay, so you know, Firefly Odyssey, that's what they had to say. It's kind of a up-down kind of comment. No Name says, it has changed for the worse, but so has everywhere else. So yes, Arizona is maybe not as great as it once was, but they're saying that the rest of the country is also going through that. Greg Luttrell, he said he regrets leaving. So he left, and now he's saying he regrets it. You could see, okay, more people it looks like they love living here is still picking up and gaining momentum. It's not 55%. The 31%, the unknowns, these are the people who've been living here during the massive inflation that we've seen across the great state of Arizona. So I see some comments coming in, and I'm going to read these right now. So now's your time to have your voice put out there. Salvador says, looking forward to this video from Southern California. Salvador, well, I will say most people, they don't regret living here. Now, as someone who just came back in town, this, by the way, is North Scottsdale out by Pinnacle Peak. This is Brown Mountain right here. You know, beautiful place to hike if you just want to get out there and experience nature. You'll see a lot of wildlife, hear a lot of birds, see a lot of different, you know, creatures in a good way. No snakes. You might see a snake, but anyway. The thing is, when I come back to Phoenix, I always am very glad that I came back to Phoenix. And I'm like, you know, this is actually a pretty good place. And I used to live in Hawaii. So I think coming home to Phoenix is a very nice place. After I go through the world and I go to all these different places, I'm like, you know, Phoenix isn't half bad. It's actually a pretty nice place. But let's see here. We got some more comments. Wow, we got a lot of comments. Jeff S. AZ is a total ripoff. California prices without the California lifestyle. Wow, okay. Crank Lab Explosion. If you're from Cali, you owe me rent money. He's saying if you're from California, you owe him some rent money. Travis says, we went back to Tennessee. So Travis, he lived here and then he went back to Tennessee. That's interesting. Why'd you go back to Tennessee? Tennessee's cool. It's green, definitely very green. 50 Watt Nomad says, we only lived there a year. Only regret was leaving. We're hearing a lot of that. So people, they moved here. They weren't happy with living here. And then they left and then they regret leaving. So, you know, the grass is always greener on the other side. It's like wherever you're at right now, whether you're in Boston or Chicago or Minnesota, and you're like, man, when I get back to Arizona, it's going to be so much better. Whoa, there's a big shadow right there. Anyway, people always think the grass is greener on the other side, and then they realize it's not. Thanks to the 30 people who smashed the like button, help smash the like button to get this out to a larger audience so we can have a big time discussion. But let's talk about some of the things that people just didn't like. These were common answers. They said they don't like this desert. People look at the desert and they're like, I don't like the desert. For me, I love the desert. I think the desert is a beautiful biodiversity. I don't know why anyone wouldn't like the desert, but I remember as a kid, I used to go to places where they had big tall trees like Washington or California, Northern California, where they have big pines. And I would think just so weird because I grew up in the desert. So I guess it's probably dependent upon what you're used to. But as someone who's gotten to know the desert, it's alive, it's breathing, it's an ecosystem, it's biodiversity, lots of reptiles, yes, lots of mammals, javelinas, bobcats, mountain lions, coyotes, deer, you know. So I love the desert, but people who come from elsewhere, they don't love it. That's my friend Maytal. She does neuroscience. One of these days we're going to do an interview with her because she was helping people with neuroscience issues. And the next thing is people don't really like the heat. So in the summertime, they're like, it's intolerable heat. Well, the place that I went that was the hottest that I've ever seen was Dubai. And that was some miserable heat. That was like Arizona heat plus Florida humidity. And I think the part that I didn't like about it was the humidity. So Robot says, depends on what desert, but the Sonoran Desert is beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I guess if it was like the desert in Death Valley, some people, Death Valley is one of the most popular national parks in the country. Like if you go there, they got like hundreds of reviews, thousands of reviews. So people like going to Death Valley. I guess it's because it's world famous for being scary or hot, like Joshua Tree, right? So the hot summers, they hate the heat. And then they say, and then some people that don't like it here, they say there's not a lot to do. Because if I go to the other side of the spectrum, the people who love it here, they say they love it here because there's so much to do. So, you know, there's like this dependent upon where you come from or what you're thinking. Some people say there's a lot to do. Some people say there's not a lot to do. And then the other thing that people don't like is they say it's not enough culture. Now, there is a lot of culture. There's the Native American culture, which if you actually explored that and you get deep into that, you'll realize there is a lot of culture for that. So you can check into all that if you want to understand more about the situation regarding the culture. And then there's also things that people like. So they like the good weather. So people have said the good weather is amazing. Wide open spaces. You can see lots of wide open spaces all across Arizona, whereas like back east, it's like crammed, you know, it's very crammed. We got a lot of wide open places. Fernando says, Arizona sucks now. Too many people rent too much. I can live on the coast in Cali for about the same rent price. I don't know about that. I heard that it's pretty bad even in California. I think California got even higher than it was. So, you know, I think the average rent in like San Diego is around 35 or 3,600. The closer to the coast you are, maybe inland, it's like 2,800. So I don't know about that. Benji says, move to West El Paso. Love it so far, but you have to love the desert. Only 4 hours from Tucson, 5 hours from Phoenix. See, El Paso is totally in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's far from San Antonio, and it's far from Phoenix. It's far from Albuquerque, but it is close to Ciudad Juarez. So that's you know, if you're going to Mexico. Most of the people that I talked to from El Paso said the same kind of thing you said. I don't know if I could live in El Paso. That one was a tough one. That was a tough one for me. I went to El Paso recently, but I could see what you're saying. Andre says Native American culture is for Native Americans, not everyone else. Okay. I don't really know how to respond to that one. Arizona Street Media. Hello, everyone. Geo says, tips on how to handle the heat. Well, that's a good question, because one of the recent questions that we actually pointed out on the channel here recently was what's the deal with the monsoon season? So people are asking, what's up with monsoon season? And we said, with monsoon season starting next month, what is your best advice for people who are new to monsoon season in the desert? We got 124 comments. People are telling you what's up. They're basically saying, man, I'm ready for another awesome monsoon season. Last year was awesome. We did have a really cool monsoon season last year. Thanks to the people who hit the likes. We're at 55. Let's get it to 100. So if you're sitting out there and you're watching, please hit the like button if you haven't already. And then Expression says, I'd say end of July and August are more likely times for monsoon. Absolutely. They say monsoon season can start in middle of June, although typically monsoon season doesn't kick off until about mid-July. That's accurate. And probably around like July 22nd, you've already started to get in the mix. And then like the first half of August is really cracking off. And then sometimes we get a late monsoon that goes into September, especially with like the hurricanes coming from the Baja. So we do like hurricane. They're a hurricane down there, but by the time they get here, they're like a tropical storm. But people say replace your windshield wipers right now. This is something. It's Tommy says lost our dog house to a flash flood last year in Globe. Don't underestimate it. Stay safe. People are going to hear that, they're going to read that, and they're going to get scared. They're going to think, oh my God, what do I got to do? My dog, because they're going to get scared about their dog. Basically what they're saying is don't underestimate it when it happens. Make sure you pay attention. Like for example, don't go through a wash because a flash flood can be really wicked. So stay away from washes or rivers, especially if they're dry. Like a wash is an area that looks like water goes through there, but it's dry. The reason it looks like water goes through there is because when it does go through there, it's a flash flood. So that's a big thing. Bo from New York, love your channels. Thanks, Bo. And then, is Maricopa a good place to live? I've heard some good things about Maricopa on our last video. If you guys didn't see it, or if you did see it, we had some pretty good information on there about some of the cool stuff that's getting built. Maricopa was one of the places that was getting some of the attention. But yeah, you guys could check out this thread here on the community tab, and where people are talking about the monsoon season. So pay attention to that, because we are coming into monsoon season. Probably in about a month or so, we might get a storm. But it typically starts July. But I'll read some more of the comments. But Cheryl says, what place is better to live at, Las Vegas or Arizona? Well, Las Vegas or Phoenix, I would assume, because you would be comparing Nevada and Arizona if that was the case. Let's see here, 183 votes. Oh, wow, the number is going up. More people love living in Arizona than they hate it. Only 12% of people regret living in Arizona, and we've had 183 votes. This was only posted 27 minutes ago, so we're kind of play-by-play. We're getting the interactions as it's coming in. And people out there in the comments, do you like living in Arizona? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I mean, let's see. Let's do it. Let's rattle it off and see what happens. Daniel says, in 2008, we had 65,000 homes available for sale. Welcome to the new norm for housing prices in Arizona. Yeah, I mean, I've been to places where they, like in Italy, for example, in Calabria, it's like just north of Sicily, $1 homes. They're giving homes away for $1. Yeah, you got to fix them up. They're fixer-uppers, so it's going to cost you more than $1 to fix it up. But But Arizona is just we have a shortage. We got so many people living here, so it's just interesting how a place could be like top dog and then nothing, and then there's like it becomes a ghost town. I mean, look at a boom town. What was the definition of a boom town? Like Tombstone. So a lot of people come rushing into Tombstone. They did it in Deadwood, South Dakota. They did it in Jerome, Arizona. They did it in Bisbee, Arizona. And then the whatever brought all the people there, it dries up, and then everyone leaves, and it becomes a ghost town. So, is Phoenix, in this day and age, I don't know if we get boom towns, but Phoenix would be like a definition of a boom town. I mean, there's only like 3 or 4 real boom towns in the country right now. Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, probably like Miami, Tampa. I mean, there's probably more, but if you look at proportionally, Phoenix, Austin, San Antonio, Las Vegas are really growing at some of the fastest rates. Although Miami, Tampa, those places in the smaller towns in Florida are really booming as well. But what could cause it to collapse? Well, who knows? If there wasn't enough water, that could be a reason why it would go down. So let's see here. People are saying they're moving to Boise. Boise is an interesting place because it's got fair weather. It doesn't get too cold, but it's not overpopulated. The prices are reasonable, and it's close to a couple mountain ranges with lots of greenery around there. Someone says there is a lot of shooting in Tucson, and there have been 10 murders so far this year. That's a lot. Yeah, I mean, no one wants to live in a dangerous place. So I mean, I see what you're saying. Thanks to the 91 people who hit the likes. Look at those saguaros right there on the barrel cactuses. You got a barrel cactus, a saguaro cactus, a staghorn cactus, a cholla cactus, a prickly pear cactus. There's 5 cactuses in that picture. A lot of people, they just look, they're like, that's a cactus. Well, they have names too, and they're different, subspecies. That one right there on the left is the skinny one. That's a staghorn cactus. The little fuzzy one on the ground right there, that's a cholla. You got to watch out for those suckers. They'll get you. And then you see those tall ones that are kind of standing upright. Those aren't baby saguaros. That's a baby saguaro right there. But the other one's a barrel cactus. You got to watch getting scratched by a barrel cactus because there's some stuff on there you might not want to get activated on you. So North says Oro Valley is the best atmosphere. There you go. So there's a look at some chollas. Anyways, it looks like if we just update the poll here one more time, obviously lots of comments have come in, so you guys can read all those comments. And let's see, 219 people. So most of the people, 61% of the people say they love living in Arizona still. They don't regret it. 13% they regret it. So one out of 6 people regret it. The 26% that are not sure, they're undecided. But even if they did, all 26% went to regret, that would still put it at 39%, and the rest is still 61%. So still 2 out of 3 people, even in the low end, 2 out of 3 people love living in Arizona. 1 out of 3 regret it. So, there's a good look at a cholla. Those suckers, man, they'll get you. Has anyone ever had a run-in with a cholla cactus? Anyway, someone says, fire warning here now. Yeah, watch out for fires. I think the National Park Service is basically saying it's a no-fire season. And you still have people on Arizona Camping on Facebook saying, where can I go in Arizona where I can burn a fire? Well, if the rest of the zonies were to pay attention, well, it's probably not zonies, it's probably out-of-state people who've started those big old fires. Man, we had some big fires. Like every year we have like 2 or 3 big fires. Man, it's crazy. Anyway, we'll talk more about that on the next one. But Lily Rose says the air quality is getting pretty bad, and not to mention water issues are going to be an issue soon. Both of which need to be addressed in another comment section. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks to everyone who dropped comments.